Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into what might just be the ultimate modern crisis of meaning. We are going to be exploring a really groundbreaking text called The Architecture of Knowing and Being. It's basically a map, and it's designed to completely revolutionize how you view your relationship with the world around you.
I mean, think about it. We live in this absolutely extraordinary age of information, right? You can text someone across the globe in a second, and you've got pretty much all of recorded human history sitting right there in your pocket. But even with all of this data at our fingertips, it is so incredibly common to feel like something profound is just missing. We literally know more about nature than any previous generation in history. But despite all that, do we actually know what it means to be human?
Okay, let's dive into this. Part 1. The Modern Paradox. This is the battle between having infinite data but struggling to find deep meaning.
So look at what we've mastered over on the left side here. We can observe galaxies billions of light years away, we've decoded the human genome, we're manipulating matter at the molecular level and building mind-blowing AI. But then look at the right side. Where is the philosophical equivalent to all of that? We have this massive blind spot. We can map the brain, sure, but we really struggle to explain awareness itself. We can measure behavior all day long, but measurement totally fails to capture actual meaning. We've modeled the entire universe, but that model can't tell us why existence actually matters to the person experiencing it.
Which really forces us to slow down and ask a pretty fundamental question. What is the relationship between knowing reality and actually being in it? To untangle this whole thing, we're going to build a visual map together. Think of it like a giant coordinate plane to help us sort this out.
Part 2. The Axis of Knowing. This is our horizontal axis, representing the outward movement of human understanding. This outward drive is amazing because it constantly builds on itself. Step 1 is science. Science starts with observation, which lets us predict and manipulate the natural world. But, just observing isn't enough. We have to share what we find. And that brings us to step 2, language. Language slaps names on things, taking an individual experience and turning it into a shared concept. Then we push it even further to step 3, mathematics and logic. This is where we jump from specific observations into abstract structures, stuff like patterns, probability, and pure order. So science observes, language represents, and math formalizes. Together, these three tools combine to create these incredibly sophisticated maps of reality.
But, and this is absolutely crucial, we have to remember a major philosophical warning here. A scientific theory or a math equation. That just gives us a representation of reality. And representation is not the same thing as actual presence. A word is not the physical thing it names. Or, as the famous saying goes, the map is not the territory.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we can apply this to something we all know, like the ocean. Think about it. Modern civilization can completely objectively measure the ocean's chemistry. We can precisely calculate its depth, measure its exact temperature, mathematically model the physics of its waves, and write thousands of words describing its color and sound. But none of that is the same as actually standing before a crashing wave. Take a second to really feel the weight of that difference. The distinction between having all this incredible knowledge about the ocean, the representation, and actually experiencing its raw physical presence, it's monumental. We map the genome, we map the brain, the cosmos, but we so often forget to understand the knower who's creating all those maps. Part 3. The Axis of Being. We're pivoting to the vertical axis now, signaling a major shift inward to the realm of subjective and relational presence. Because while that first horizontal axis asks the structural question, what is reality? This vertical axis asks a fundamentally different and much deeper question. What does it actually mean to be? So let's walk up this vertical climb. We don't just pop into the universe in total isolation, right? We start at step 1, existence. We are deeply rooted in a shared, intersubjective world of family, culture, and relationships. From there, we move up into step 2, awareness. This is our own intimate, lived territory where we directly experience reality for ourselves. And finally, we reach step 3, transcendence. This is the movement toward the absolute deepest dimension of subjectivity, where we finally step back and ask the most radical question of all: who is the observer? And this brilliantly illustrates a really strange possibility. Can consciousness understand itself without just turning itself into another object to be measured? It's the knower trying to investigate the knower. This is exactly where ancient contemplative traditions, like Buddhism and Vedanta, cross paths directly with modern consciousness studies and phenomenology.
Part 4. The Critical Intersection. Now, we are taking those two axes and bringing them perfectly together at the exact center of our coordinate plane.
Right at this intersection, we find two massive forces. On the one side, we have language. Language is the bridge from experience over to knowledge. It's what makes our experiences shareable with others. But on the other side, we have awareness. Awareness is the bridge from knowledge back into lived experience. Because, you can read 1,000 books on the concept of compassion. And sure, that's knowledge. But actual awareness is required to truly be compassionate. Language makes an experience shareable, absolutely. But awareness makes it present.
When we lay this all out, three distinct perspectives naturally emerge. Objective reality asks, what is the world? That's the domain of science. Intersubjective reality asks, who are we? That covers culture, society, and language. And subjective reality asks, who am I? The domain of lived experience and consciousness. These are not three separate universes. They're totally interconnected ways that human beings encounter existence, and they all meet right in the middle, at that intersection of language and awareness.
Part 5. From Knowledge to Wisdom. It is finally time to resolve that modern paradox we set up at the very beginning.
So the crucial point is this. The crisis of modernity is not a crisis of information. It is a crisis of integration. We have completely overdeveloped that horizontal axis of knowing exactly how things work. But at the same time, we've totally neglected the vertical axis of understanding why things matter, leaving that side of things completely fragmented.
To fix this, we really need to understand how we actually progress. It all starts with knowledge. Knowledge just tells us what something is. This is the exactness and precision of science, and it's the brilliant foundation of our entire outward journey.
But we definitely can't stop there. The next level is understanding. Understanding builds right on top of knowledge. It tells us how that specific thing relates to everything else around it. Getting to this point requires the absolute clarity of logic, and of course, the expressive power of language.
Let's move to and see how this builds into the ultimate goal, wisdom. Wisdom asks the big one, how should I live in light of what I know? True wisdom requires both axes, guys. It requires knowing the structure of reality from the horizontal axis and understanding the deep meaning of participating in it from the vertical axis.
To summarize our whole journey today, we move outward to map the world by observing and measuring. We move inward to understand our being by encountering existence and discovering awareness. And right there at the center, language and awareness transform all that raw information into actual, lived understanding. Our civilization's deeper task isn't just to hoard more data or to control more things. It is to integrate that information into genuine, lived presence.
Which leaves us with this ultimate transformation, going from just knowing about reality to actually being in it. What kind of beings should we become through what we know? Thanks for joining us for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.